What is up, guys? Welcome to the Gold Star Podcast, a podcast where we talk about everything Pokemon TCG related, the market, collecting, just everything kind of involving Pokemon TCG. Today, we have the bearded trainer, Austin, as usual, and a very, very special guest with us today. This is Hav, the owner of Mini Pokemart. If you guys don't know what Mini Pokemart is a subscription Pokemon card service and also just kind of a store. He sells all kinds of booster boxes, packs, and everything, and provides an awesome service. We'll let him talk about that here in a little bit, but we are super happy to have Hav with us. He's been a friend to both of us for a while now, and we are both happy customers of his. How are you doing today, Hav?
I'm great. Thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here. It's going to be a super fun video podcast. Excited to talk about the hobby and just have some fun.
Yeah, we're really, really excited to have you. A couple quick announcements before we jump into things. Bearded Trainer Austin over here is getting dangerously close to completing his giveaway. Do you want to throw something about that real quick, Austin?
Yeah, just remember, go to my Instagram, check out the post. There's going to be a new updated post because I'm adding a couple things to the giveaway. However, to find out what those add-ins are, you're going to have to go check out the Instagram. But just a quick update, it is this Battle Academy board game / you get 3 theme decks, but you'll find that out. Just go check the Instagram. I'm about 15 followers away from picking a winner, so head over and check it out.
Yes, please go give him a follow. He's getting dangerously close. And also tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, I am doing a live Burning Shadows box break. A lot of you guys have bought into that, bought packs, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing the first ever box break on my channel live on a live stream tonight, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you are there for that. It's going to be a ton of fun. So without further ado, we've got Hav here. Mini Pokemart has been a friend to Austin and I for a while. We are very happy customers with Mini Pokemart. A lot of the stuff that I open up on this channel is directly from Hav here. He provides literally like the majority of the packs you see on my channel come from Mini Pokemart. Hav, why don't you tell us a little bit about Mini Pokemart, like what exactly is you do and offer? You obviously have something very special that kind of sets you apart from other shops. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Mini Pokemart, when I started it was kind of the idea of bringing like the one shop for everything Pokemon related, and eventually translated more into collectibles. And I decided to bring like this subscription service where you can have packs from the latest from the latest set sent directly to you. You can choose from 6, 12, 18 a booster box all the way to like 6 booster boxes, so a full case every month. And we're building this amazing community where Austin and Colin are actually part of it, and that kind of sets us apart from any other type of subscription box, where we're building this amazing community of other collectors where you can trade, where you can sell, and where you can even just build this type of relationship with other collectors, which makes it super, super exciting. I'm very happy that we have a very good amount of collectors so far, and that we're building this amazing community.
Yeah, the community part of Mini Pokemart has been so cool to me. Actually, a lot of the subscribers, a lot of people probably watching this video right now came to my channel from the Mini Pokemart community. I've bought, sold, and traded with a lot of people on there, all kinds of stuff. It's been super cool. Austin and I both actually have our boxes this week, so we can actually show off kind of the two of the different options that Hav has. Neither of us have actually opened up our box this month yet. I'm saving it for a future video, but you have this awesome packaging. It's kind of mirrored because of the camera right now. But you open this up. You have your little mascot. What's his name again?
It's Chilio.
Chilio. This is the Mini Pokemart custom Pokemon mascot.
That's right.
You can kind of open this up. You see, I am subscribed to the booster box every month. He's got these nice package up here. I'll go ahead and open it. I've opened up plenty of these on the channel before. Austin over here has, you have 6 packs, Austin?
Yep, I do the smaller one, which is great. I do love the fact that you allow different affordable options. So if you're wanting to start out and can't really afford much, this right here, 6 packs, is a great deal. It's an awesome thing to do, and you can upgrade it anytime. One thing I do like is everyone that subscribes, you get your own little link to share with people.
Yeah.
So if
Mine is
you
always
break
in the
people-
description below.
Exactly. If you happen to do that, you can. That's just a little incentive to go on, and you also have the option, like you said, it's also a store. So if they want to check out the website, go to the store. There's tons of options. From one thing I know you like a lot is the Japanese. You have a lot of Japanese graded cards.
Yeah, we also have Japanese in it. So
there's tons of options from single cards to pin collections, booster boxes, all different kinds of stuff.
And you sell a lot. I mean, I know Pokemon's kind of being weird right now and putting all their old sets out of print. We're in a very weird spot with kind of options to choose from.
I wouldn't call them old sets. A lot of the very
all the Sun and Moon sets. Well, all the Sun and Moon sets are kind of going out of stock, so we're in kind of a weird spot right now with what you can purchase, not just from you, but really anyone kind of right now. Pokemon's just in a weird spot, but I know, like, I've been getting Rebel Clash. It's been fun, even though the hits in Rebel Clash have been rough. Darkness Ablaze is going to be in September, right? You can get Darkness Ablaze with your subscription September.
Darkness Ablaze will be in our subscriptions of September, yes. So the idea is that August will still have the Rebel Clash because we ship prior to the release of Darkness Ablaze. So September will be Darkness Ablaze.
Yeah, so everyone please go check out Mini Pokemart. Like I said, there is a link in the description below, or minipokemart.com is a super cool service that we've been really happy with. So Hav, we were talking a little bit before this. You up until just recently worked for PlayStation. You led the team that designed the PSVR, which is insane. That's really, really awesome. I've actually messed with that several times. My cousin, actually, I told him, he's a big PSVR person, and I actually told him, like, right before this, hey, I have this guy on my podcast, and, like, you never would have guessed what he just did. And he was like, oh, please ask him all these questions and stuff. So I will get around to ask you some of that stuff a little bit later. But how do you, I mean, just go from being the lead person on PSVR, working for PlayStation stuff, to kind of a Pokemon card shop? Like, what's kind of your correlation there? Do you just love Pokemon? Tell us a little bit about your journey, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as most of you here that are watching, I'm a collector. I have been a Pokemon fan since its release back in 1998 with the Pokemon games. Then I started collecting cards, obviously, because from games, the transition to cards was like a no-brainer to me. You wanted to own a Charizard or own any other type of Pokemon, and having the possibility to getting that card in your hands was just like a no-brainer. So I started collecting it. Unfortunately, I'm from Mexico, so unfortunately it was very hard to get cards in Mexico because the distribution was not there. So I will just get the cards when I could, when I used to visit my family in the US. But I slowly built a good amount of cards and a big collection, and then life happened, and I stopped collecting around like high school. Like, I lost a little bit of the interest there. I wanted a car more than the cards.
Understandable.
Right. But then I started college, and right after college, I was just like, I started to get like more interested in Pokemon again. I started thinking, hey, where are my cards? So I went back to my mom. I was like, I called her. I was like, hey, I left the cards at home. Can you look for them? And then she was like, yeah, I just gave them away.
Oh, man.
Like, oh God, like all my collection, like all gone. I had a bunch of first editions. I had I think I had almost a full Neo Destiny set.
Oh, wow.
First edition.
Dude.
Like, it was just the saddest day of my life. And I was like, well, that's a bummer. But thankfully, I restarted collecting when the market was not as high as it is today. So I rebuilt my collection pretty quickly and learned about graded cards and started collecting more about that, and started collecting more about the sealed product as well. But to answer your question, I think that passion was always there. So even though I was actually working for PlayStation, my passion was always Pokemon cards collecting, and for all collectors out there, probably you always have that little kind of spark in you that says, I want to open my own Pokemon card shop, or I want to open my card shop, right?
See, and what's crazy is he turned from his collection to wanting a card. Now some of those older cards that he could have had, one of those he could have sold, probably could buy him 2 or 3 cars.
Yeah,
right.
Some of those older cards.
Exactly. Like it's amazing how the card market has grown in the past years, and just that spark of actually trying to get a card shop on my own and a business that I will own and some passion around it make me want to go with Mini Pokemart. Initially, I started an e-commerce store and I was just selling these boring knee pads in Amazon. I had like this Amazon shop, and I was like, yeah, this will make me some side income. And then after some time, I was just so bored about just the whole Amazon thing. I had zero passion about it. Like I was just like, yeah, it's just I'm buying these things every month that they're selling and I'm making good money, but I don't really care about like construction stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just shut it off. And if this is a side thing for me right now, why don't I do something that I'm really, really passionate about? And that's where Mini Pokemart was born. So, and here I am.
That's awesome. I feel like every collector has a very similar story in that they had this crazy stuff when they were a kid, then at some point it either got given away or sold in a garage sale. Or like my mom used to work for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I had one of my binders that I found late last year, but my one that had all my good stuff, all my Charizard and stuff, she gave, I believe, to like one of the Make-A-Wish kids that she granted a wish for one time. And it wasn't until like just recently I realized how much money was just handed to over there. So I mean, at least it went to a good cause, I guess. But
mine's a little different. I had a huge collection, and then when I was in school, a house that I lived at, there was a huge flood in our town.
Oh, that's rough.
And the entire house went, and we grabbed what we could, but that was not on the list of stuff to grab right away. And at the moment, you're not thinking about it, and then I kind of sit back and think now what I had, and I try not to think about it because of what because if I tried to replace that now, I would be very difficult.
Very broke.
Yeah, I get messages from people on the Mini Pokemart community that text me like, "Hey, I lost my collection because of a fire, or I lost that collection because of a flood, or like I don't know where it went." And so this is very, very common among collectors that we stop for a year or two or maybe more, and then once we get back, it's like, where's my collection? Like, what happened?
It's always a sad day.
I do know this time, if there is going to be this time, if I ever decide to take a break again, like what I have is going in a lockbox.
Yep.
And it's going to be sealed to where if I decide to come back, it's not where did it go? Where did I put it? Is it still in good shape type of thing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and if you have graded cards, they are now protected as well, right? Like back in the day, like PSA was not even like grading Pokemon seriously, so there was no way of actually preserving them that way too.
So you touch on several things in that we're going to kind of unpack a little. Let's start with kind of the market. We mentioned kind of the boom that happened this year in general. I mean, it's kind of been growing steadily the last several years, but this year specifically, everything just kind of blew up. What is kind of your take on the current market? Do you think it's sustainable? Do you think it's going to keep growing? How long? Like, why don't you kind of just unpack you're obviously an investor, you own a shop, so I feel like your take on this, it may be a little different from people kind of like me and Austin who've just recently gotten back in it in the last year. Like you're obviously very experienced in this, so kind of what is your take on the market and everything right now and this surge we have going on?
Yeah, I mean, the market is very difficult to predict what's going to happen, right? It's very like there's no way of predicting the future. We cannot know like, hey, tomorrow the Pokemon market is going to collapse, just like we cannot predict how the stocks are going to behave in the stock market. And if we look across like the macro economy right now of the United States, we are definitely living on this pandemic situation, but we see the stocks rally up, and Pokemon cards are following as well. Like these all different alternate investment assets are
It's been
actually
very
growing.
odd recently. It's been a weird.
Yeah, but it is
Measurable.
not just. But it is not just Pokemon. I mean, if you look across the board, we see the sports cards are just booming like insanely.
Collectibles in general.
I know
Yeah,
a lot of them with the season starting back up, sports cards are booming. So
yeah, and then we have like people, very influencers pushing the collectible space on trading card games. We have personalities like Gary Vee, even the same athlete promoting their own cards. that didn't used to happen, and in Pokemon, a lot of people are probably seeing the possibility of growth just like they see it in sports, and we're getting this heavy investors that were focusing mostly on sports and maybe on Magic, which were a little bit more stable markets, and now we're seeing this boom of heavy whales coming into the hobby and start spending heavy cash because they know there's an opportunity to be making money. So I don't know, like until when we'll keep growing. I'm pretty sure that the current rally up is not sustainable for a collectible. The collectible markets always fluctuate, and you'll see usually spikes every 20 years, more or less. Pokemon is a very young hobby. It's less than 30 years. So this is our first rally ever up, like substantial rally up, and we'll see a retrace at some point. But that's where you need to reinvest as well, right? Like when you see that retrace, that's where you buy more cards, and then and then move from there. Right now, if people tell me, I'm actually not buying a lot of cards right now. I'm just buying whatever I really like. But as an investment, I know that probably I will not make that much money, because I know at some point there will be a retrace, and that right now is the time for me at least to sell. Like if you own a Charizard, if you own a Charizard PSA 9, sell it. Like right now is the time to sell it, right? Like we saw this exponential growth of PSA 9 Charizards. A year ago they were like $200 more or less, and today they're almost hitting 1,000 or more. It's just
I paid $200 for a raw one. Like in March, I paid $200 for a raw base set Charizard. It's probably gonna get like a 7, but it was $200 raw, and like that was the price, like I said, of a graded one.
I wish I could go back in time just a little bit and make some different options to where now I can make better decisions on selling stuff.
Yeah, it's very difficult to predict that, and like I'd never thought it will just explode. But there are several factors that could guarantee that a collectible will explode that way. Number one is when you start seeing a lot of media covering news like, oh, new record and a Pikachu illustrator, or oh, the card that got lost in the mail for $60,000, a Charizard for 10,000 and 100 when it was just a shiny from Hidden Fate. Like when you start seeing that much of media coverage, you know that the market is being manipulated in some sort, and it's going to start growing. So that's what is happening here, or at least that's my guess.
We also had that BGS 9.5 sell for $73K a couple days ago.
After all those fake ones got out, it still sold for pretty high.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. And it's funny, we actually hadn't planned to go here, but you mentioned kind of the heavy hitter, like more, big names jumping into the hobby. I know you mentioned Gary Vee. Another one that comes to mind is Phil Hughes, the New York Yankees pitcher. He started a YouTube channel like early this year, around the same time I did. And I mean, he's Phil Hughes, World Series winning Yankees pitcher. I mean, he is just blown up on YouTube. He's a baseball guy. He started out doing kind of baseball and Pokemon. So he did have a big Pokemon surge early on, but he's just huge in the sports card world, especially on YouTube. So it's been kind of cool. And also, I don't know if you consider it good or bad, but we've had all these giant people kind of like that, Gary Vee and stuff, getting into this and really just dumping thousands and thousands of dollars into this hobby, and it's been kind of nuts to watch.
I think it kind of helps a little bit too because it gets the name out there more. So it's gonna cause more sales. It's gonna cause more people that aren't necessarily used to going out and maybe jumping into the Pokemon community. Now they're gonna start doing it. So you're gonna see a little bit of a rise because you're gonna bring more audiences because of those people.
Yeah, I definitely think that the rally is not near to an end yet. We'll still see prices going up for some time until there's a point that people will not be able to invest in the heavy heaters. So that's where we'll see like either a sideline where they're not growing anymore, and then maybe a little bit of a drop. But it's all supply and demand, right? Right now, the supply is low for those cards, and the demand right now it's very high. It fluctuated back from 2016 was a huge boom from Pokemon Go. A lot of people were playing Pokemon Go and remembered the cards. They came back into the hobby and started collecting. It grew a little bit there, then it stabilized, and now we have this huge spike from people that stayed and now new people that are coming in. So
I feel like
pretty interesting.
That's a little bit of a good transition here. Like so 2016 we had Go, and then the Pokemon company is very smart. They released Evolutions, which is a very nostalgic set. That was right around the general kind of Pokemon Go time, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was around the 20th anniversary of Pokemon.
So they released Evolutions. That nostalgia, they took all the people that were coming into Pokemon Go because of nostalgia. You capitalize that with a card set that is big on nostalgia. And right now we're seeing everything is going crazy right now. They aren't stopping. Like we had Hidden Fates and we have Champion's Path and Darkness Ablaze coming out. Can you talk to us a little bit? Like everyone is so excited. We don't know rightfully so yet or not with Champion's Path. Everyone got their hopes up for Darkness Ablaze and went crazy, and then they announced Champion's Path after we got a little disappointed. I know we've talked, you've received an unheard of amount of pre-orders and stuff for Champion's Path. What's kind of your take on that set? Like, just, do you think, we have to ask this, do you think we're getting our Hyper Rare Charizard? Like, what's kind of, talk to us a little bit about Champion's Path.
Yeah, I mean, Champion's Path definitely is hitting a right mark. A lot of people were overhyping Darkness Ablaze. There was this expectation that we will get that Rainbow Rare Charizard on Darkness Ablaze. And when the news break that the Rainbow Rare Charizard was going to be a trophy card in Japan, we kind of knew that it was not happening for Darkness Ablaze at that point. Right. Now, there's a lot of rumors and speculation around Champion's Path because the Elite Trainer box features the alternate art Charizard that was the second prize in Japan, which we usually never get. So we're getting that one. And then if you look at the art on the ETB, it's the actual Rainbow Rare art of the ETB. So why will Pokemon put that Charizard in there when Darkness Ablaze was released a month before?
That's exactly what we were saying.
So there might be a hinting that it's coming. And if it does, like, people are really, really betting on it. So there's a lot of demand. And there's the history of Hidden Fates where the set was so hyped and still is so hyped that people don't want to miss on those Elite Trainer boxes because that's the only product from Hidden Fates that didn't got a reprint. So if
and now they're like $300 if you want a Hidden Fates ETB.
Yeah, it's like 400.
For collectors, I hope they don't ever reprint it. I hope they keep it like it is. For us people that like to keep some sealed product and keep some prices on stuff going up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as an investment, I keep telling people like the only product that I will see that will keep growing, it's probably the ETB. The other ones, the teens were printed like crazy. It was too many reprints. Of course, they will grow if it's sealed because it's a nice set. But the ETBs probably will see the biggest grow. And then, Dark Champion's Path is just following that same direction that Hidden Fate had. And people are really, really betting that there's not going to be a reprint, which we don't know yet. But the amount of people that pre-ordered or at least put themselves there in a line, because I decided to put that like a line system, it was overwhelming. After like 48 hours, I had more than 1,000 orders in, which was like crazy. You can imagine how many I have
Right.
today. So
It's got to be like over 3,000 at least, right? Like you got to have a ton of.
it's a lot. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's definitely more than 2,000.
I don't know what most people do, but I know there's some crazy people in our Mini Pokemart community that like to go big when it comes to pre-ordering stuff. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, and thankfully you as subscribers had the first take on it, so you had like a 48-hour window to pre-order whatever.
Which is another bonus to subscribe to Mini Pokemart. We usually get first dibs when stuff comes out.
Yeah, we got first dibs on his Hidden Fates pre-release as well, which was awesome.
Which I think he had to maybe get more because I think we might have taken all of his pre-orders when Hidden Fates came out with that other reprint.
Yeah, I actually ordered like 200 teens or something like that, and they were all gone in the pre-order with just the subscribers. Yep. I need to beg to distributors to give me more. I was like, I need more, and they're like, okay. Yeah.
So speaking of Hidden Fates, there's another kind of topic that we've talked about a little bit kind of over the course of this podcast, and I think it's cool to revisit this with someone like you. The PSA 10 Charizard, the Shiny Charizard from Hidden Fates, currently about $2,000. Raw, it got up to around 800. I think you still do see some reach like 800 on eBay. On Facebook, you can typically find them for $600 to $650. Like the most expensive modern card we've ever had by a mile. I know we saw people, I think it was PokeRev, kind of compared it to kind of like this kids generations, kind of their version of the first edition Charizard. It's kind of like it is the big card of this modern era that we're in. They're currently like, I think we said like 3,000 graded ones or something between PSA and Beckett. What's your take on that card? Do we think it's going to go up, down? I know you mentioned sell. How do you think a card like that is going to hold its value?
So it really depends on your investment strategy, right? Like investment, when we say investment, we usually mean long term, right? Like otherwise you're just flipping a card. But to be honest, like when we have that many graded cards, when you have like around 3,000, the rarity of the card itself, when talking about graded ones, it starts to diminish this, right? Because it means that everyone is it's easier to obtain a PSA 10 than it is on the older cards. So that makes it that the price will not grow as much as we see on vintage. But to play devil's advocate here, I agree with PokeRev in the sense that this could be the first edition Charizard for a lot, just like the Rainbow Rare could be the first edition for other people, right? So, but it's clear here that we cannot know what the future will hold, and it will all depend on how many people are collecting in 10, 15 years. So if those kids go back, just like us are coming back right now, then yes, like that card is going to be very, very high in demand. But because it's 3,000, we don't know, like with all these reprints, at what point it will get. We might get the 10,000, right? Like a lot of people were speculating, like the Red's Pikachu, a Japanese card that was released not so long ago for the 20th anniversary as well. They were thinking, oh, this is a promo card. It's going to be very low quantities. And then it was like printed massively. And there's like thousands and thousands of cards graded already. And now it lost its value. When PSA Beckett starts to catch up on orders, we'll definitely see an exponential growth on those Charizard PSA 10. And that will probably drop the price in the short term. In the long term, it might grow. It might grow depending on the size of the market. If Pokemon keeps doing what they are doing and people are happy and the hobby keeps growing, which I'm betting on, and that's why I'm investing and I have a card shop, then that card will become more and more valuable. But people will freak out, right? There will be a point that they will see a dip in price and they were like, oh, no, I need to sell now because it's going to drop.
Which, when it drops, I'll be there to get one. Because with all the amount of Hidden Fates 10s I've opened, I still don't have one. So I'm going to wait it out when people get scared and the price drops quite a bit.
Yeah, now is not the time to buy that card.
Nope, it's in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I will not buy that card right now. I will just stay in the sidelines. It happened before, right? With Evolutions, we have that Mega Charizard the Mega Charizard was like the equivalent to the Shiny Charizard, and a lot of people were opening it. Granted, Evolutions was printed like crazy, more than
Oh
either
gosh,
page.
it was printed in the ground.
So
4
granted
years
that's
later,
why.
we still can't get rid of that set.
Yeah. Finally, Evolutions are not longer on a distributor level, so we're starting to see some scarcity there after years and years. But that Mega Charizard basically was the shiny Charizard
Right.
of that time, right? And we see like 4,000 now, I think, something like that.
It's just
probably
now
more.
starting. I bought one for $100 in a PSA 10 like 2 months ago, and it's up to around 200, 175, 200 now. But we're just now that it's out of print, finally starting to see that card go up a little bit.
Oh yeah,
So
no, I was
that's
talking
really-
about like the population
Oh,
report.
yeah.
I think it's like 4,000, 5,000.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't know, it's
ton.
like crazy amount. But yeah, the price dropped when a lot of people saw that it was not as rare, and there were a lot of PSA cards out there. And this might happen to Charizard. I mean, we went from 10,000 to 1,000, and now finally grew to 2,000 because the
Right.
rally is just pushing it up. But I think it's just going to go down. I will invest more on Evolutions cards, the shiny Evolutions and other shiny Pokemon in the set that have lower population coverage than that Charizard.
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
Yeah.
Which for us as investors or people that like to collect, you know, when we pull that card, it's great. But every time we hear the word reprint over and over, and here's another
it's
hidden
terrifying.
feature, and another one, and another one, to us, we're just like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Here we go. It just pushes that card further and further down the list. So
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the fear I have with Champion's Path as well, right? Like when Pokemon sees money, what are they going to do? Stop it? Like, oh no, we will damage the secondary market. Let's not do it. Of course not. They're a business, right?
I
see people all the time make that comment. Like maybe they're just trying to, like Burning Shadows one. I've seen people all the time saying maybe they're just trying to protect the market for Burning Shadows or Evolutions or whatever. And I'm like, they don't care. They get no money out of the secondary market. They couldn't care less about what that's doing. There's no money in that for them. Yeah. So if you ever have that opinion, don't. Just know that Pokemon does not care about your secondary market or if you can get $1,000 for a shiny Charizard, because they see nothing out of that.
They're geniuses in the short-term money making, which makes them very good long-term investors, because they get this thing and they clinch onto it because they see that we're just going to buy. So then they just like, all right, keep printing it. They're going to keep buying it and keep going for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
we need to remember that the TCG is they care more about the competitive play than the collector side of things for this game, right? So I was kind of joking and not joking in the Mini Pokemart group the other day, saying, "Hey, don't worry about the VMAX, because if there's decks around the VMAX, we will see a promo out of the VMAX."
Right, because people are gonna buy it.
You're not wrong though.
So
we already have an Eternatus box planned, right? Like, Eternatus is one of the big Darkness Ablaze cards because of the competitive game, and they already have a box planned for that thing. So,
look at the Zacian card for the base set. It
RIP.
was a great card, and then guess what they said? Here's a 10 with the card as a promo.
Buy more of them.
There's Boss Order as well was like a great kind of card for making some quick buck, and then they were like, oh, here's a toolkit, and it has a bunch of them in it. And it's like, okay.
So, you're a big graded card guy like Austin and myself. Austin does PSA submission service. You do a little bit as well. We're all big PSA Beckett guys. We talked a little bit before this about what is your opinion, kind of, what's the new company called? Is it CM? I should even know this. CCG. We have a new player kind of in. We've seen talks of that. Beckett is finally just now a little bit starting to catch up to PSA in Pokemon world. Beckett was already kind of big sports card world and stuff. What is your kind of opinion with what service do you prefer? Why? Like, what's your opinion on a new player coming in? Do we think they're legit? Stuff like that.
Yeah. For me, I've been always a PSA collector. I think they're the ones that got started earlier in the Pokemon kind of side of things, so they had more experience. Beckett quickly catched up, and it's interesting that the way they grade the cards, they make it feel like their standards is higher. But in reality, the way they grade is different to PSA, right? PSA cares more about like how the card looks, so it's very subjective. It's like, oh, this grading person might think that tiny speckle, it's a now it becomes a 6, right? Because it's damaging the visual side of cards. While Beckett is more technical, it's more like, hey, let's analyze it, measure it, and you even get like those measures and grade per kind of point.
I'm pretty sure Beckett actually uses like a laser machine to properly measure the centering on a card, which is how they are so precise and accurate and stingy with that 9.5 they like to give.
Exactly. So they're different in terms of how they grade. I personally like PSA because I like their holders. I like that you're evaluating the aesthetics more of the card rather than anything else. But I do agree that there's subjectiveness to it.
It leads to a lot of inconsistency with PSA. That's people's biggest complaint, I feel like, with them.
Yeah, it happens with Beckett too, though.
Yeah.
Like, but and it will happen with CCG as well. I mean, the moment there's a person in the middle, there's going to be discrepancies in grades. So there's nothing to do about it. But to your question, I think I prefer PSA, but that's just a personal. I don't have any attachment to PSA, and I could make a switch at any given time. Actually, CCG is following the steps of PSA very closely, and even their holders look very similar. And they were more on the coin market, like grading coins and things like that, and currency. And now they're jumping into the TCG world, which is interesting because they're trying to get a piece of that pie, and they might get it.
Which is back on what we said earlier. It's all these big hitters are coming in to the TCG world, so they're like, hey, you know what? This market's growing, so let's try our hat in the ring and see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think it's going to take to see them become like we saw? What was the company with the ugly white headers where you could even like choose your own grades? It was super sketch before this.
I remember which one you were saying, but I can't remember.
They have the ugly white ones. I don't remember what their name was, but
you still see them on eBay,
right? So they were never really a legit threat. And what do you think it's going to take for another player to come in and be a legit threat to PSA and Beckett and kind of take away from them and really even add value? Because one thing with grading companies is they ultimately, for a collector, it has to add value on top of it. That's a big important part of this, is how much it raises the value of the card. Well, if it's a company that no one cares about, no one's going to pay extra for it. You know what I mean? So what's it going to take for someone to come in and catch up to PSA and Beckett in that aspect?
Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, it's a very competitive market, and they're not offering like any like differentiation, like that to say they're better or worse. So I guess at this point it will all go down to how well they market and how well they partner with influencers in the space. Like, I mean, CCG made the move to actually partner with, I think it's Looking Collectibles, right? Like the CEO of Looking Collectibles, I think he's actually backing them up, which
I actually didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, which is a strong name in the hobby, and that can give them some momentum. He actually published a video on YouTube the other day comparing kind of BGS against PSA against CCG. So maybe it's worth for any one of you and the people watching to go and check that out video later.
I'll have to check that out. I actually didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, he was just comparing them, and he actually grabs a PSA slab with the CCG one, and they match. You can stack them together, which is interesting. And but I think they have the name in grading services. They've been there for years. Going back to your question on the white label one, I think people in forums were saying that they Googled the address and it was a home and it was not even business. It's just like super sketchy.
This just in, Gold Star Podcast is starting its own graded service. Right. Just send me your cards. I'll slab them up for you.
Yeah.
Right, there you go.
I mean, going back to PokeRev a little, someone asked him about, I can't even remember the name of the company now. It's slipping my mind, but someone asked PokeRev about it, and he literally went to their website and was like, look, you can pay them to put the grade that you want this card to have on the label. Like, you could literally tell them, I want this card to be a 10, and pay them for it, and they will put 10 on that label. Like, it's kind of ridiculous.
That's a joke.
I think for me, for the TCG community, if somebody's getting their hat in the ring for grading, I think they need something that's going to make them kind of stand out, you know? So like PSA, you see a PSA slab, you just know that has that look. It's a PSA slab. Beckett, they've got the gold label, they've got the coveted black label, and they're known for putting, you know, the subgrades on the label. So I think not only to like add value to your card as a graded card, I think they need to have something that kind of like when you see it, you know this is this company's card.
Yeah.
I'll be real interested to see if PSA ever does that. People ask me all the time, do you think PSA is going to add subgrades or like something beyond a 10? Because that is something Beckett has on them. A lot of people wish PSA would do subgrades, and Beckett does have the black label, which is just like adds so much value. I always have people ask me, do you think PSA is going to do anything like that? And I'm always like, well, you know how many cards they'd have resubmitted and stuff like that at that point? Like, it almost causes issues. But I think that is something that you have a point there. Like, they almost need something like that to distinguish them, because like that's actually honestly what kind of has let Beckett take a piece of PSA's pie a little bit.
That black label
is people want a black label, and also a lot of people love kind of the subgrade aspect, because you can say, oh, like with PSA, you can look at a card and be like, this is absolutely perfect. Who was the moron who graded this? I don't know why. At least with Beckett, you can go, oh, it's ever so slightly off-centered, apparently, and their lasers are apparently right. But it'll be real interesting to see if that ever happens.
PSA does have subgrades, so they do have like 8.5s and subgrades, but they're so hard to get and very, very weird to get them. Yes, and they do have the off-center mark as well, which is completely random sometimes. Like, I've seen people sending like a really off-center card and not getting it, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. Because there's off-center collectors out there, right, that spend hundreds of hours just finding off-center cards to send them to grade so that they can get that OC stamp there, and they don't get it, and it's like, what? So... but yeah, I think they need to figure out a way to distinguish themselves back to Austin's point, and it's going to be hard. It's a very competitive market. If they partner with people and they start to get heavy hitters, there's a way to manipulate the market to switch towards your grading company, right? If you start getting first edition Charizard's 10s and they sell for $100,000. Right?
Yeah.
People are going to want to get a CCG PSA, like CCG 10, right? At that point, they're like forgotten about BGS. They forgotten about like PSA. So you need to start to get good hitter cards out there in auctions and getting it in the news and make people aware that you exist. And that's how you will make it happen.
I mean, I think it'd be cool to have another one in there, because right now at the point in time in the market that we're in, when I'm looking at stuff to buy, like if I don't see a Beckett or a PSA case, I kind of just I glance past it. I'm like, that's nothing. So I really think they need something, and like you said, if they get some heavy hitters in there, I think it'll help out tremendously.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the tricky part as well in grading sides is like, do we really need a third one though? Like, if they are back to the point of, they need to bring something to collectors, right? Like, what is new? Like, why? Like, it has been discussed tons of times of remove people from the equation, right? Graded by a machine, and that could bring some other value, or just create something else out there. Like, one of the main things that I don't like about the grading companies is the fact that I can crack open this one, for example, this Mewtwo 9, send it, get it at 10. Is there a way to create like a more proof case that if you crack it, that you break the card, right? Like
Yeah.
like you're now guaranteeing that that card is still there forever,
Mhm.
and it will remain with that grade and that value forever. And if you didn't like it, sorry, choose another grading company. But it just makes it more legit, at least in my views.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of last thing we wanted to hit on. I know you're a big sealed collection guy. I know in the Mini Pokemart group, when people ask you kind of what is you recommend investing in, you're very big into sealed product.
Yeah.
Can you, I guess, kind of talk to us a little bit about that? Why do you love sealed products so much? Why is sealed product so much more expensive? And stuff like that. Can you just elaborate kind of a little bit on why you're such a big sealed collector?
Yeah. More than a collector, I collect cards because that's what I like to see. I like to see. When we talk about saving sealed, I'm investing on those. So
Exactly.
very different, very different, right? Like in sealed, I see the potential of money that can be made in the future. But reality is, like, if you look at booster boxes today, I don't find them appealing at all. Like
I don't either. I'm a big card guy.
Yeah, if they were like a Japanese box where there's a beautiful art on them and they're still like eye appealing, I collect those. Like I have a ton of sealed Japanese booster boxes because they are still pretty. They have pretty art, pretty aesthetic. The booster boxes today are not that pretty as they were before. Like Wizards of the Coast era, the booster boxes look pretty too, right? Like you will like those too, even regardless of what's in there. So for me, sealed product, I've been monitoring the market for quite some time, and I've noticed that the sealed product grows independently of how badly it has been printed. It just grows.
Right.
It grows. It doesn't matter. Like evolutions, we probably haven't seen that much of a growth because you still see them at a distributor level. But the moment the set stops being in distribution, it starts to grow. Like, and you get on an average from 8 to all the way to 30% return of your investment on sealed product. And this is modern. I'm not talking about vintage. I missed the boat on vintage, and I don't own a lot of vintage cards. It's so expensive now that I don't own that much. I think the oldest one I have that's valuable is XY Flashfire. I got it for $200. When I saw that it was going to start going up, I grabbed a couple. But in the end, I think that's why I like to invest in sealed, because number one, it grows over time more than cards. Number two, it's more limited quantities than cards themselves. And number three, there's always that idea of people of trying to break them up in the future, right? Like if today Hidden Fates was popular, in 10 years probably it will be popular. That's my assumption, and it's a dangerous assumption. I'm speculating here. I'm not it might be completely wrong, right? Like, but I'm saving everything. For example, Cosmic Eclipse for me is a super underrated set.
Oh, I agree so much.
It got
all of us here agree 100%.
Yeah, it got completely eclipsed by Hidden Fates. So, like, also Unified Minds, right? Like, no one paid attention to those two sets because Hidden Fates was strong, and Cosmic Eclipse has so many good cards in it. We have the character rare cards. We have a Charizard Rainbow rare card in it with Tag Team. We have
the alternate art ADP, which is one of the coolest looking cards they've ever printed. The Coliseum statues.
Exactly, the Palkia Dialga, and it's just a very, very beautiful set, and I think it's super underrated. And now it's out of print, and I think we'll start to see like growing up in value, because people missed it and they want to get back into it. So
I think you also have that Charizard effect. I mean, if you kind of look at the set, like a lot of the old sets have obviously grown a ton, but the ones you've seen spike the most typically have a Charizard in them, or like Neo Genesis has the Lugia and the T17 Typhlosion. Like the ones that have the really big heavy hitters. Cosmic Eclipse is one of those. Unbroken Bonds we've seen. It's a booster box for Unbroken Bonds is like $350 right now, and that's been out of print for a month, something like that. Right, or a month, 2 months. Like,
yeah, close to 2 months.
that has a Charizard in it.
Yeah.
You do see kind of the Charizard effect with a lot of those as well. I feel like with just the sets that the boxes and sealed product grows.
Yeah, the sealed product has a little bit of correlation of chase cards. So if there's a chase card in that set, you're going to see more of a spike. And that's why I say you can see from 10 all the way to 30% of growth because there needs to be a chase card. So
like Rebel Clash probably isn't going to have nearly as much growth as, I mean, Hidden Fates, Unbroken Bonds, Cosmic Eclipse, because the rarest card's a trainer card. Like,
right.
It's a cool card, but who cares at the end of the day compared to other stuff, you know?
I mean, but going back to the analogy of today's first edition is kids' Cosmic Eclipse, for example, right?
Right.
We don't know if in 15 years, 20 years, let's say 20 years, that's the 25 years, that's the age of base set, right? Like, we don't know if in 25 years, those kids will be like, oh my God, I need Cosmic Eclipse because I love those character rare cards, right? And you'll see this huge spike on price on those. And it's a very highly speculative market. And as an investor, you do your homework and you realize which sets are actually more worth investing. In my case, I collect all of them. Like every set, I just grab some boxes and save them. Because you need to have a distributed portfolio, right? Like some will hit, others will not. So that's my take on it, and I have a diversified Steam Siege. We never know. We might be hating Steam Siege today, but maybe in 15 years, people are like, everyone threw away Steam Siege, and there's no Steam Siege sealed. Right? Like no one cared about it, and now there's a shortage. So we never know.
Yeah. Well, we are getting pretty close kind of on time and stuff. So first of all, thank you so much for coming on and doing with us. This has been awesome. You've been absolutely amazing to have. Again, everyone, please go check out Mini Pokemart. You can get this awesome subscription box. You can get a booster box delivered to your door, packs delivered to your door
every month. It's great.
Hav is very, very, very active in his community, and that's kind of honestly what kind of led him onto here is just how friendly you are and how honestly. I'll give a personal thing real quick. Like, I was very skeptical of Mini Pokemart because there are a lot of scamming companies out there. We'll be honest. Like, there are a lot of companies out there that want to send you fake stuff. Well, I messaged Hav on Facebook straight up. There's an option to message Mini Pokemart on Facebook. So I just messaged him from one of his ads, and you replied to me almost immediately and literally had like an hour and a half, 2-hour conversation with me on Facebook. So that's the kind of guy you're dealing with Mini Pokemart. Like, he takes time for people. You're very personal, which is awesome. So go support him and his businesses. You will not be disappointed with the service you get from Mini Pokemart. So thank you so much for being on this podcast. Austin, do you have anything else you want to throw out there? Go follow him on Instagram for his giveaway.
Instagram, check out the giveaway. If anybody's interested in a shirt, reach out to me. I might have a hookup, but I want to see if I get any interest or hooks on this first. But yes, check out the shirt.
Yes.
Other than that, go check out the Instagram, look for the posts, and till next time.
Yep. And I will be having my live box break tonight, 7 p.m. Central. So watch this video and then come hang out tonight for an awesome box break. I do believe Hav has a few packs in the box break tonight.
I actually bought 3 packs. I'm getting that Zard. I'm getting that Zard.
I literally missed out by like 2 minutes. I messaged you and you said they literally just sold out.
I believe our man Ryan took the last 2 right before that.
Don't worry though. I'll be there in the chat.
Yes, come hang out tonight. Yes. So come hang out with all 3 of us tonight in the chat for that. Hav, thank you again. Go check out Mini Pokemart, and thank you for checking out the Gold Star Podcast, and we will catch you guys later.
See you guys.
See you, everyone.